Hi, welcome to the podcast. It's your dream, live it. I am your host, Makita Benjamin. In this podcast, we talk about inspiration and tips for your life from a biblical perspective. Today's topic is, what are you telling yourself? Get comfortable with me and open your mind to receive as I feed you some inspiration for your life. Let's get into it. Today's scripture reference is coming from Proverbs chapter 15, and we're looking at verse 2 and 4. Verse 2: The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. And in verse 4, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. And I wanted to focus on this topic today. What are you telling yourself? Because many times we are our worst critics. We talk down to ourselves. We belittle ourselves. If anyone spoke to us the way that we speak to ourselves, we would be very upset and irate. And yet, we allow ourselves to do that. We really talk so bad about ourselves and tell ourselves that we can't do this and we can't do anything right, and we're so hard on ourselves. And there is so much power in the tongue. The Bible talks about this a lot, power in the tongue. And right here in the verses we see in verse 2, the tongue of the wise use knowledge aright. So a lot of the things that we tell ourselves, it is not right, and we know that it's not right, but we still talk to ourselves so negatively. We talk as a foolish person, pouring out foolishness. In verse 4, it says, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life. When we talk positive about ourselves, it is like pouring water and fertilizer on this tree of life that springs forward and brings fruit. And that's how we should talk to ourselves. Where I got this idea from, I went years and years telling myself that I did not have a good handwriting and I could not write well. I told myself this for years. And as a result, most of my writing back then was very scribbly because I usually wrote very fast, and some would probably denote it as doctor's handwriting. Have you heard that terminology before? Because doctors scribble something on a prescription pad, and it's a wonder that the pharmacist can even figure out what it is that they wrote on the pad, because the writing is so sometimes unrecognizable. But somehow those pharmacists, they know how to read some of these doctors' handwriting. And that's how my handwriting was, because I told myself, I looked at other people, and that's what happens, is a lot of times we compare ourselves to other people. And I looked at all these other younger girls that were in my high school when I was going to high school, and they would practice their writing, and they had beautiful penmanship. And as a result of comparing myself to them, I said, wow, I don't have a good writing, and thus I never even tried. But a couple of years ago, I told myself, well, let me stop rushing in writing and take my time. And when I did that, the writing that I produced was actually quite pretty. It may not be like a calligraphist, but it was quite nice. And I said, look at all these years, and I told myself that I can't write properly, and I can. My writing is beautiful and it's legible if someone was actually to read it nowadays. And this is the same thing that we tell ourselves about our gifts, our talents, and our abilities. We don't accept it. All this time I had a good handwriting, but I didn't accept it. I told myself different. I lied to myself. And we do that a lot. with our gifts, we don't believe that our gifts or our talents are meaningful. And we say, oh, it doesn't matter, or no, I don't really have any gifts or talents, which is not true. We spoke about everyone having a gift or a talent. And with our abilities, we put down our abilities. So many times there's other people and they would love to be able to do the things that you can do, but you don't even value yourself, that what you are capable of is so wonderful, such a wonderful gift, and it really does bring good things into the world. What you bring to the world is valuable, and a lot of times we don't look at it that way, when there would be somebody else that would love to have the types of gifts that you have. So we really have to be more, we have to pay attention a little bit more to the things that we're telling ourselves, and to make sure that the majority of the time what we're telling ourselves is something positive. And a lot of times we use the word I am. The words I am. They are the most powerful words in the world. And you've probably heard that before and wonder, well, why? Why is it one of the most powerful words in the world? And it's because God said, I am that I am. And He, of course, is the most supreme being. And when we say I am and we follow those words with something, we are declaring, we are making a declaration. Thus, it is very important that when you use those words, I am, whatever you put after it, make sure it's something positive, because you're literally making a declaration over your life. And we see God calling Himself I am in Exodus. Let's see here in Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, where Moses asked him, okay, what shall I say to them when they ask who you are? And God said to Moses, I am that I am, and what I am, and I will be what I will be. So that's where the I am comes from, just so you have a little bit of history. By utilizing those words, I am, now you can start declaring good, positive things over your life. You can even utilize this in affirmations. A lot of people utilize that in affirmations, saying, I am powerful, I am successful, I am so happy and grateful, because sometimes it's weird to say, let's say, I had just thought about it, but sometimes to form the sentence with I am, it doesn't work with putting the words right after I am. So what some of the gurus say to do is just say, I am so happy and grateful that I will have my dream house. Because if you say I am a dream house, I mean, you're not a house. So that's why you have to say, I am so happy and grateful that I have a house. But when you talk about different traits, then you can say that I am, like, I am powerful again, I am successful, all those different things. So you can write down certain things that you are and that you want to be, and follow it with I am. And speak these positive things over your life every day, because too much time we have all the negativity and we don't need all that negativity. So let us start practicing and speaking those positive things about ourselves, definitely. And we'll go more into some tips in our segment Tips for Life. But for right now, we are going to have our inspirational song. And today I picked Good Job by Alicia Keys. I think it's a beautiful song, and it is a song to just encourage yourself, because sometimes you have to tell yourself that you're doing a good job. Because once again, sometimes we tell ourselves, oh my gosh, like, why was I so stupid? I made such a stupid decision there. How could I do something so foolish? We are really down on ourselves. And sometimes we have to be our own cheerleader. And this song is a powerful song. Good job. To just encourage you that, hey, you're doing a good job. Perfection doesn't mean that you're not doing a good job. You're doing a good job besides not being perfect, because none of us are perfect. And that's our inspirational song for the day. You're the engine that makes all things go, and you're always in disguise, my hero. I see your light in the dark, smile in my face when we all know it's hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Bless your heart, no, I love you for that. Honest and selfless, I don't know if this helps it, but good job. You're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, yeah, yeah. You're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, so don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, yeah, yeah. 6 in the morning, and as soon as you walk through that door, everyone needs you again. The world's out of order. It's not a sound when you're not around. All day on your feet, hard to keep that energy. I know when it feels like the end of the road, you don't let go, you just press forward. You're the engine that makes all things go, and you're always in disguise, my hero. I see a light in the dark, smile in my face when we all know it's hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Bless your heart, no, I love you for that. Honest and selfless, I don't know if this helps, but good job. You're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, so don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, yeah. You're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, so don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, yeah, yeah. All right, awesome. You're doing a good job. We can only do our best. Sometimes, given the time, the circumstances, our resources, we do the best that we can. And your best is good enough. So sometimes you got to remind yourself that you're doing a good job. Next is our segment, Tips for Life. And here are a few tips that I want to give you. First, listening to some audio that helps you say positive things about yourself, such as what we were saying, the I am statements, can really help change your mindset. There's a few of them on YouTube where you can look for positive affirmations that you can repeat. Look for them and you can listen to them and you can repeat them back to yourself so that you can start to build a positive look about yourself. I remember when I was younger and I didn't love how I looked. Once again, comparing myself with other people and also what society was telling back then about who was beautiful. Where I grew up, the light-skinned girls, which mean if you had a clearer complexion, they got the most attention from the guys. And of course, on the TV, that's mainly what you saw at that time. Light-skinned or Caucasian, those kind of people, straight hair. So of course we compare ourselves with the beauty standards and what we see, and we lie to ourselves again and tell ourselves that we're not beautiful or we don't meet those beauty standards. And one guy that I worked with, I carried this all the way to college. And when I was in college and I worked with a guy, and he said, honestly, if you don't love yourself, I don't know how you expect somebody else to love you. And those words at that time really hit me. And I started looking at myself in the mirror, and I started finding what I could to tell myself what I loved about myself. And maybe that's where you have to start. You have to force yourself to look at yourself, definitely deeply, and you have to start complimenting yourself and finding what you do love about yourself, and you will be amazed. I believe first I started with my eyes. I said, okay, I have pretty brown eyes, and then move on to another section. But sometimes that is what you have to do. You have to do what it takes to really build yourself up. So you can listen to some positive audio. You can write down some of these affirmations, the I am statements. I am so happy and grateful that I have everything that I need to be successful. Different statements like that. You can write those down. Most of the most powerful and wealthy people, they write these kind of statements down and they review them every day, in the morning and in the nighttime. So that is a tip for you to do. You can listen to inspirational songs such as the one we heard from Alicia Keys, other inspirational songs that kind of motivate you. There's some motivational audio out there too that helps to motivate you and tell you that you do have everything that you need to go out there and to accomplish your dreams. So just listening to positivity, saying positivity, instilling those in yourself, it will really help you to change your mind space. And another really great tactic is to ask positive questions. So let's say you did make a mistake and now you're beating yourself up and you're like, why did I do that? And we like to tell ourselves, oh, I'm so stupid. See, that's using the I am. That's sneaking it in right there, right? So instead of saying those kind of negative things, we can ask positive questions. How could I have done that better? What have I learned from that? What can I do moving forward to prevent making decisions like that? Those are much better ways, and they're much more helpful to gain you to move past the mistakes that we made and to go forward and to do better and make better decisions than just negatively criticizing yourself. So asking positive questions really helps a lot in that as well. I hope that all these different tips will help you, and let's put some action towards doing that and changing our mind space and speaking much more positive about ourselves. To wrap up this episode, I just want to remind you that the power of the tongue, it is undeniable. Words can impact people much more than physical pain. A lot of times it is just as impactful, and we have to protect and be mindful of what we say, not only about ourselves. I know today we talked a lot about ourselves, but also others, because you can really damage other people by your words as well. So in the same manner, where you don't want to belittle yourself and talk bad about yourself, let us also reverse that and do our best to not talk bad and belittle other people. And again, if somebody does something that you think is crazy or stupid, even possibly your children, because you're very influential on your children, instead of saying things like, oh, you're so stupid, why did you do that? Again, you can ask those positive questions. Why did you do that? Do you think that that was a good decision to do? What can you do better next time? Asking others positive questions can help them and steer them in a more positive light too. And even if we don't like what somebody has done or said, coming at them in a negative or angry tone usually is not going to help, because they're just going to reciprocate that. So we have to calm ourselves down, and this is something that I have to do myself. I have to calm myself down, because sometimes I get very upset and I just want to lash out at the person, but it doesn't help anything. So when you calm yourself down, then you allow them to express themselves, but then you also do your best to explain yourself about how you're feeling and what their actions did to cause you to feel that way. And then also put yourself in their shoes and listen from their perspective and tell them, okay, I understand that you feel this sort of way, and ask them if that's definitely how they feel. That's also I feel statements. So you could look those up, about I feel statements, to help with communication. And let us talk about our conflicts instead of shouting at each other, because it doesn't work that way. If we talk about our conflicts, we share how we feel and we actively listen to them about how they feel, and we can come to a compromise. It works out a lot better that way. So I hope that all of this definitely helped you. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I was able to add some value to you that you can utilize to continue to be great. So follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Makita Benjamin, and on Facebook, Makita Benjamin Official. Send me a message and let me know what you liked best about today's podcast. You can also visit me on my website, makitabenjamin.com, and pick up one of my books or inquire about booking me as a speaker. I am also available for business consulting. I hope you have an amazing day and be blessed. And always remember, it's your dream. Live it. Much love.